Support. Curtis Fleming is there on the edge of the area. Fleming for Craig Hignett. Hit it, Higgy. Higgy hits the treble!
Avenelli coming alive again. Juninho wants the ball played to him. Avenelli spots out Emerson!
Hello and welcome to the Boro Breakdown podcast with Jonny, Matt and Tom. We are the Boro podcast that gives you all of your Boro match day chatter in a podcast. And Boro returned from the international break with a draw against Preston. The draw now sees Boro in 10th place in the championship table with 8 points. A start which hasn't been bettered since 2018-19 season. And the last time Boro had 8 points after the first 5 games was the 2015-2016 season. And we all know how that season turned out. But guys, first, let's do the one key takeout from the week. Tom, would you like to go first? What's your one key takeout from the draw yesterday?
Frustration, but it was more than expected. I got asked at work the other day, "Are you looking forward to the weekend, Boro back?" And I was like, no. I was like, because I know what Boro are going to do, because I'm in my mind, in the back of my mind, I am looking forward to this weekend. But then there's also a big part of me that's just kind of like, why are you looking forward to it? Because we're going to end up losing 1-0, or we'll dominate the game and draw like we did. And it's just typical Boro, as much as that's an absolute cliche at this point, but it just is like. And it has been for all of this season as well. We are still struggling to put teams away. And it's getting to I wouldn't say it's getting to the point now, because it's early on in the season. I was thinking about it earlier. And I was like, would you rather have these results earlier in the season or towards the end? I was like, if we can work out the Kingston stuff earlier in the season, then, potentially this is going to work out better for us. But yeah, as soon as we figure out how to put a chance away, we should be laughing. But at the moment, it's just it's not fun. Well, I suppose it is fun to watch at times, but you come away just feeling like we should have won every game this season, and we should have done.
And to be fair, Tom, you alluded to it there, saying we'll be laughing. I feel like Laugh needs about 30 chances to score at this point. I think my key takeout is that you can do all of these great things. You can change systems mid-game. You can, break teams down. You can create chances. But moral of the story is you need to score the chances you make and take. And then you don't concede the ones that you shouldn't concede. And like you were saying, that's pretty much Boro's theme for the start of the season so far. And I'll probably echo your thoughts there in terms of like winning the games that we should have been. Just daft mistakes, hasn't it? It's been really the theme probably over the last few weeks. But Matt, what would be your one key takeout from the game yesterday?
Yeah, it'd be exactly the same. I don't want to keep repeating the word frustrating, but I feel like that's going to be the buzzword across Boro fan base for the week, to be honest. You could probably just repeat the same snippets from previous podcasts. It's the same old really annoying bad habits that keep costing Boro. And once again, we put ourselves in actually a really good position in this game, which is arguably probably more frustrating. And the fact that we couldn't capitalise and make the most of that. And it's the same old story again. And yeah, it's early days. And that's what I'm sort of holding on to at the moment, because I can't lie, I'm still very optimistic about this season. But the biggest sort of kink in my optimism at the minute, or the biggest blemish, is our home form. And it's just really, really frustrating that the same bad habits seem to have reared their head again from last season. It's obvious the one big thing that cost us last season was our home form against teams we should have been beating, and there's no signs to suggest so far that that's going to be any different this season, which means that so far it's cost us again. I think we were 4 points off the playoffs come the end of last season, and you could handpick where them 4 points were dropped, or at least 4 points were dropped last season, and already this season you could handpick a huge number of points that have been dropped already. So yeah, frustrating that the same things seem to be happening all over again.
Yeah, well, we did start well. Tommy Conway scored and had a lovely knee slide, but a little bit later, I can come to that a little bit later on. But he put us ahead, and then Mads Jensen equalised, and then we just couldn't find a winner again. The frustrations. But Tom, what was your assessment of the game yesterday? I know there was frustrations leaving the ground. I mean, at least the chip band was good yesterday. I thought there was good standards of food on show.
Yeah, it was good to see him back.
It was. He was at Reading. I asked him, and I mean, he definitely hiked the prices up there. It was like £12 for some chips and curry at a festival. So it was good to get the actual prices of match day. But anyway, I digress. Assessment of the food and also assessment of the match yesterday.
Food was excellent. Match, not so much. I did think after the first 15 minutes, I was just like, we are going to blow these away. I think, that win against Cardiff's going to have done the world of good for confidence. Obviously, Conway scores after 15 minutes, and I'm just like, right, we are going to add to this now. And we just didn't. It's not like we didn't have chances. We did kind of fashion out a few, I'd say half chances, but there were kind of like scrappy rebounds and stuff in the box. Matt Clark missing from 6 yards out, having it blocked on the line is one that comes to mind there. But it just looked for everything that we were going to add to that scoreline, and then Preston get a goal, towards the end of the first half, and from that point on, it was just kind of like, I just expect them to see this out and get a draw now. Like, we'll go all out second half, but I never expected us to score. And the longer and longer that game went on, and you bring in Ben Doak on, and he's attacking on the right hand side, probably attacking his man a bit more than Jones was doing, and playing it across. I never saw a chance that we were going to get that go-ahead goal, and it was Preston packing their box, holding on to it. It's frustrating. Again, that word's coming to mind, but it's frustrating when you go in at half-time and you level, and you just kind of like, I don't see us getting anything from a win from this now, because I can see the exact way that this game's going to go. And you can just see the minutes ticking away in the second half, and it just went exactly the way I expected it to, second half.
Matt, I kind of want to come to you here, because this is pretty much the same conversation we had next to each other yesterday, wasn't it?
Yeah, exactly that. We are unbearably predictable, to be honest. And what frustrated me probably even more, there's that buzzword again, is that we actually put ourselves in the position we wanted to be in as well. Like, going into the game yesterday, my thoughts were just first goal. Like, if we get it, we're quids in. If they get it, then we could be in for a derby, a Portsmouth, where we might get back into it, but we'll struggle to maybe win the game, or we just won't get back into it at all. So for me, I was like, first goal is absolutely huge. And the earlier we get it, I was looking back at previous games against Preston where we've beat them 4-0, I think, on their last 2 visits to the Riverside. And I'm not going to pretend that I was a little bit arrogant or whatever after we scored that first goal. But like Tom, I thought, right, here we go again. We're going to put a few past these, and finally we're going to see Boro put a team to the sword, and to have the game exactly where we wanted it, and then to sort of drop off and allow them a few sort of half chances. They had a couple of chances. They had a cross that come in from their left-hand side that luckily Potts didn't get on the end of. I think Borges, just fell asleep at the back post. That was a warning. Greenwood had another chance off the right where he was in absolute air, because he had the whole of TS1 to himself, and forced to save out at the end, albeit it was at a tight angle. There were a few warning shots where I thought, right, we just need to put these away now quickly before a sucker punch comes, and predictably it did. And yeah, it was another really poor goal to concede. We lose a 50-50 again on the left, and the name of their goal scorer escapes me now, but yeah, he had so much room in the box to finish. And yeah, like Tom, going into that second half, I had no faith we were going to score a winner. I mean, I kept saying to you, Jonny, as the minutes were ticking down, I was like, 15 minutes left, 10 minutes left. And that, you being the optimist you were like, no, there's still time. But I was just sat there like, it's just not going to drop. It's just not happening. And I just could see, as soon as the second half kicked off, I could see the same sort of second half we saw at Derby, we saw against Portsmouth, where we just had all of the possession and didn't really do anything with it. So, yeah, infuriating, really. And the referee didn't help. I know we're gonna let Tom have his way on that one, but yeah, overall, I just felt really there was like a culmination of real frustration from me yesterday. I just really I felt like it was a great opportunity for us to kick on after the Cardiff win, and we had a team right where we wanted them, and again, we've let it slip.
Yeah, I think I will probably agree with all of your sentiments there in terms like wasteful frustration, and and I agree with Matt Carrick where he was saying that we've done enough to win the game, because we definitely did. We've done enough to win every single game this season, probably bar the Stoke one. But then again, you had Josh Coburn, who was through on goal and missed from 2 or 3 yards, like about 5 yards out, and you go, okay, if that scores, then the game's completely different. So there's a lot of game state what ifs, buts, and maybes already so far this year. You can do amazing things, and data can back you up to do that. You can say, our Boro creating the most chances, and looking at our expected goal numbers, that we are the best team in the division. And that's not how you use it at all. I think it just highlights now how wasteful Boro are in front of goal. We can create a lot of chances, and some really good chances as well. That Matt Clark chance, Ben Doak at the end, like I laughed skying it from over 6 yards. Like, there's so much you can really go into and say, well, actually, is this kind of the manager's fault, or is it the players? And really, it is the players, because Michael Carrick can only do so much on a match day. He can only feed them the right information. They go out, they have to solve the problems, and they do a lot of solving. They create plenty of chances. They can, it can be a bit like one-dimensional at times, and, you can move the ball from side to side and horseshoe it and all that kind of fun stuff. You can change systems. We did yesterday, played a 4-3-3 possession at times. Like, Elaf was on the left, Conway was in the middle. You can, do 2v1s on the wings. You can do all this really amazing stuff in football. You can go as technical as you want to go to, but at the end of the day, if you don't score really big chances, you don't deserve to win football matches. And we're just not doing it. And, I said it at the start, it's not been an awful start. 8 points, it's still parallel to 15-16. We haven't done any better since 2018, 2019. We're actually quite slow starters. And if you look at Boro over the last 15 years, we actually are relatively quite slow. But the moral of the story is finish your chances. And I think the frustration for me isn't like Boro playing badly. It's just a case of we know how good they can be, but they're just not delivering what we think they should so far. Because if you win yesterday, you're in the playoffs and you go, that's been actually quite a good start, actually. If you win on Saturday, against Sunderland, you're 1 point off top and you go, that's actually not a bad start, is it? If you said after 5 or 6 games you'd be 1 point off top, you'd go, you know what, I would absolutely snap your hand off for that. But now that we have that context of games, of being frustrated, creating plenty of chances, missing glorious opportunities, making so many silly mistakes, i.e. the Portsmouth game, that's where the frustration beds in. And there was a point, obviously, in the game as well. Do you think? And you were sat next to me, and we were both like, I don't know if this was or it wasn't. What kind of reflection I'm kind of seeing? I want to hear your thoughts on it. But do you think Boro could have had a penalty early doors when Conway took it around Woodman and got absolutely wiped out? And do you think it was a penalty, or was it not?
It's hard to say, really, from where we were sat. I mean, from what I've heard, I think there may have been minimal contact, and Conway may have maximised that, or maybe lost his balance. I'm not really sure, but it was one of a number of questionable decisions from the referee, and yeah, that was another really frustrating element of yesterday. And I think Preston knew exactly what they were doing. I mean, Heckenbottom said pre-match, to be fair to him, he knew exactly how the game was going to go, and I sort of laughed it off at the time and thought, okay, whatever. But as I say, it was probably pretty obvious where the game was going to go. And Preston just made it bitty, scrappy. There was fouls, there was stoppages, wasting time. And I feel like that's just the template for coming to Boro. Like, it must be so predictable. And I don't want to say easy, because obviously it's never easy to prepare for a football match, really. But, coming to the Riverside, it must just be pretty straightforward for managers. They must just think, right, make the game as scrappy, as stop-start as possible. Don't let Boro into the floor. You'll probably get a chance or two. They'll probably gift you something that, you just have to take. and they'll probably have loads of possession and do absolutely nothing with it. So, yeah, keep stopping the game, keep wasting time, maybe commit quite a few fouls. I think the referee bottled a number of them yesterday. So it was just another one of them really frustrating decisions that could have gone one way, could have gone the other. And it just sort of sums up where we are at the moment. So I know we obviously lean towards referees being bad in this division quite often, and sometimes it's maybe a little bit of a maybe it's not true all the time. Maybe we do take our frustrations out on referees when maybe it's not necessarily right to when we don't get the right result. But yesterday, I thought Preston made that sort of game, and the referee was really poor and allowed them to get away with a lot of stuff they shouldn't have. So I don't know whether that was a penalty or not, but it was what they wanted to do. It was their game plan, and as Heckingbottom predictably said, it worked.
Yeah, and Tom, I'll come to you on referees because you've had some glorious rants on referee. And Matt said at the start he wants you to have your way with. He wants you to have your own way with the referee. Now you can take that whatever way you want, but we'll let you say. Do you think it was a penalty? And what did you think of the referee's performance yesterday?
Yeah, so I didn't think the referee had a good game at all yesterday. I mean, you look at the penalty decision in the first 5 minutes as maybe an indicator of the way the game was going to go. I'm northeast corner, so I'm only a little bit closer to the incident than you guys were. But when that happened, we were all kind of looking at the referee, looking for a couple of seconds, and he looked like he was kind of walking towards the box, looked like he was maybe thinking, a couple more seconds go by, you're just like, blow your whistle, do something. And then he turns around and starts getting on with the game, and you're just kind of like, what the hell are you doing? Like, in that situation, you look at that and you just think, even if there is minimal contact, that's either a penalty and quite possibly a red card because it was a goal-scoring opportunity, or it's a dive and you book Tommy Conway. So with that situation, it was just kind of like, I hope this isn't what we're going to get from this ref today, but it just ended up being the case. Looking into the second half, I thought he let a lot go in terms of physicality and physical challenges, which usually I don't mind so much. But there was kind of being physical, and then there was some of the stuff he was letting go that were blatant fouls. And it's kind of like you're losing control of this game, I think, from both sides, and the linesmen weren't much help either. There was an example first half, I think it was. Dana actually gave this on BBC Tees yesterday. It's credit for her for spotting this as well. But Neto Borges was seeing the ball out, and the ball kind of just nicks off him at the last second, and the linesman still gives a throw in for us. And you just kind of like, right, that was right in front of you and you didn't spot that. We'll take it, obviously, but it's not particularly good signs. And then second half, there was a couple of close offsides. Obviously, there was one with Neto Borges with Latte-Laf eventually scoring the end of that move. That I would say was offside. I was right in line with that, and I do think the linesman got that right. But there was another one where I think it was Barlassa played it through for Latte-Laf. Latte-Laf was not offside there, and he was one-on-one with the keeper. He did put it wide, but the whistle had already gone, so I'm not reading too much into him putting it wide. But that I think is a kind of a risk in this league when you've got fast strikers, is that the linesman can't keep up with them, and it's just guesswork for them at that point, because it definitely was there. Like I say, I'm usually second half in line with the edge of the box, and I could see Latte-Laf actually had to run past a player to actually get on the end of that ball. So what the linesman was thinking there, I don't know. But like I say, I think it was mostly guesswork, and officials yesterday, shocking, I thought.
Yeah, and do you think they need to find a job in the dark? Because, I mean, is it that levels of poor officiating, or are we gonna, like, on the scale of 1 to 10 of Tom's officiating scale, with 10 being you need to work in the dark and 1 being outstanding? Where do you think the officials lie?
Oh, these have to have like an 8. I don't think they'll quite work in the dark bad, but they were nowhere near even decent standard.
I think instead of a scale of 1 to 10, it should be a scale of 1 to Gavin Ward. That's the skill. It should be.
Poor Gavin Ward. I mean, if Tom ever sees him in broad daylight, God, he's going to have an earful. Anyway, more positive note. Tommy Conway, Tom, 10 minutes in, obviously, we went up 1-0. Lovely ball from Luke Ayling, by the way, get the ball whipped round, and he ran through and scored. He's had a decent start, Tommy Conway, hasn't he? I think he's 2-2 now, I think, or 2-3.
2-3. He
Yeah,
didn't
2 and
score
3,
against Cardiff, did he?
No, it was Portsmouth. That was it. Sorry. But yeah, decent start though, right?
Yeah, definitely. He looks sharp, looks quick, and looks kind of technically good as well. He's got a good first touch on him. So I am looking forward to seeing more and more of Tommy Conway this season. And hopefully more and more goals as well. I'm interested to see how it works out with him playing alongside Latte-Laff rather than one or the other playing. But I think in particular, and I mean, this was illustrated in the second half, we just have a lot of attacking options now, and we have a lot of different kind of variations we can put on up front. It says a lot when you can bring on Bergzorg, Hamilton, and Doak off the bench, and Riley McGree's still sat there. And Tommy Conway, I thought we signed as a striker, but there is obviously potential that maybe he's going to be playing in one of the positions behind Latte-Laff, or Latte-Laff's going to be playing in one of the positions behind Conway and interchanging. And then that obviously removes one of the attacking midfielders from the mix as well. So I think the longer the season goes on, I think we're in a really, really good position with options there. But if it is something that continues, playing Conway and Laff in the same team, I feel like they could probably build a really good partnership. And I think something we are all kind of constantly looking for since Carrick's first season is that replacement for Tuba. And it's like, is there going to be a striker who can drop a little bit deeper? And, you have a faster striker up front. Maybe this is the combination we've needed, but it is obviously too early to tell on that. But I just feel like if he's playing in those positions behind the striker, or Latte-Laff's dropping deep and doing that, then maybe that's something that has been identified as an area we maybe want to build on this season.
Yeah, and I don't think we can ever get like a direct replacement for Tuba, to be honest, because obviously every player's different. But I really do echo that sentiment of building a relationship up front, and also like I think just the way he played yesterday, he was gliding, his press was really good. He was connecting dots between some of the midfield and the forward line, and he's still learning that role. So for me, I think it's a great opportunity for him, and I think he feels like the right player to play that role for me. So I'm keen to see how he gets on. But there was one moment yesterday where I can really analyse in some grave detail, because he did put Boro ahead, of course, but it was our first knee slide of the season. And when he went and wheeled away, he ran, he darted, and then put his hand up there to give the salute. And for me, I just want to just replay the clip and keep replaying it, because for me, I think it's an overall a fairly decent knee slide. He gets the velocity of the run, he slides, and I think that momentum brings him up quite nicely for the salute in there. So I think it's a decent knee slide. I think you can do more. Everyone can do more. Can you get some more glide? Do we need to walk the pitch even further in those corners to promote knee slides even more? I'm not too sure. But I think overall, guys, I don't know what you guys think, but for me, I thought it was as knee slides go. I mean, if you want to get a knee slide club t-shirt, check out our merch in the description below. But knee slides go, where does that rate in the knee slides ratings? Anyone got any scores or any bit of feedback for Tommy when he's reeling away and doing those knee slides?
Could have lasted longer. It's quite a short knee slide in comparison to some of the other ones that we've had. So I would say it's a good start, probably solid 7 out of 10, but you don't want to start Tommy Conway off with a 9 or a 10 straight away. You've got to give him something to work towards. So yeah, it was a good start for knee slides, but yeah, you can probably do better.
Yeah, I was gonna be a bit more generous. I was gonna give it an 8. I really liked the salute at the end. I liked how he sort of transitioned into that salute. It's sort of I think that's one of his celebrations, or it might be a trademark celebration of his, because I've seen him do it on I think one of the pictures when he signed. He did the salute, but yeah, wasn't the longest knee slide, was it? Maybe he needs to just get a little bit more distance on it, and it might have been a 9 or a 10.
It's a couple of seconds long, and also we're in September, so I think the grass isn't as moist yet and doesn't have enough dew on it. So I feel like when the rain starts to pour a little bit more, and those cold mornings bed in, I think you're going to get more velocity on the grass to promote the longer knee slide. But I echo Tom's point as well. I think we need to give him something to work towards. So I think we'll go over 7 for now. Maybe we look at it towards the end of the season. Maybe we have to bring Chuba back on to be a special guest judge for us. Maybe something we can ask our guest tomorrow, Tom, on the knee slide analysis. So maybe we can do something like that as well. But to come back to goal scoring and Boro being clinical, we haven't finished the game off. We all alluded to it. So an open question, really. What do Boro need to do to become more clinical?
It's a conundrum, isn't it? You mentioned Carrick. He can only really coach the team to create these opportunities. The strikers just have to do better. You mentioned Lath at the top. He obviously had a real purple patch at the end of last season. He needs to try and find that form again. He did have a sort of half chance at 1-0 where I think the ball fell to in the box and he sort of leant back and put it over the bar. I think the latter Lath of last season might have put that one away. It's really difficult. I mean, it seems to be a recurring theme, and you think, don't you, naturally, we keep saying practice and just constantly trying to work at it, it will improve, but I feel like that's just more hopeful than a guarantee at this point. So Carrick's probably pulling his hair out, but to be honest, I think you just need to just keep hoping that they can just keep working on it. And it comes, I think you mentioned it to me yesterday, Jonny, you watching Laugh prior to the game when they were doing the shooting practice. I think you mentioned that he missed the majority of his shots, whereas Conway was finishing pretty much all of his. So I don't know if it's a confidence thing or a mental thing. It's one of the hardest things to do in football, isn't it? Putting the ball in the back of the net, but just hoping it'll fix itself at some point.
Yeah, and I think go on, Tom. I feel like you want to jump in there, so I'll let you jump in. I'll round it off.
Yeah, I was going to say, I think, because Dana's said this on a couple of podcasts already this season about Boro maybe being more of a counter-attacking team than a possession team. And I don't necessarily fully agree with that because I think in terms of our squad strength, there's going to be a lot of teams who come to the Riverside and it's not going to be a situation where we can counter-attack. It's going to be that we are technically superior and we're going to have more of the ball. But what I would like to see us do more is just utilise our pace a lot more. And this isn't necessarily me saying counter-attack and hit them on the break, but you look at the goal we scored yesterday. There's a ball in behind. Conway was able to run onto it, and he finishes it. Latte-Laff could offer the same thing. If we're playing through the lines, play one for Latte-Laff to run onto, he could do the same thing. And then I feel like we're fairly blessed with pace on both wings. Jones and Doak are both particularly quick. Hamilton can be quick once he kind of gets going with it, but I have noticed that he tends to cut inside a lot more, and he does it quite early as well. He's not cutting inside towards the edge of the box. He's doing it after he gets into their half of the pitch. So potentially there's a lot more Mike Hamilton could do on the left-hand side in terms of his pace. Neto Borges, obviously, he's not the quickest, but he's not the slowest. Seems quicker than Engel. So if we're going with that sort of overlapping left back Ryan Giles tactic from a couple of years ago, he can kind of offer something there. But I think it's all just going to be about getting him behind, and I think it's going to be low crosses into the box, which is going to help us increase our conversion rate in front of goal. I think this season it's been very different to previous seasons. In the last season, I can remember complaining that we were taking too long to create anything. We're always trying to fashion that perfect chance and try and get a goal off that, and we're not scoring because of it. This season, it does seem like we're having a lot more shots, but then maybe the lower quality shots. So it's trying to find the balance in between. And I just think with the pace we have on offer now, what we should be able to create is getting in behind, low cross in front of goal, and it should create us a higher quality chance to finish.
Yeah, and it's on the point there you're saying around it's the counter or getting behind that transitional play, isn't it? I think where you're looking at it in where a team gives something up or we're playing out the back and trying to get our team to run backwards, that's where we put our best. We do have pace, and I tried to see it yesterday. There was if people were to watch the game back yesterday, I would look at Latif in those first 15, 20, 30 minutes, stood out on the left wing. He was trying to pull one centre half out. Tommy Conway was like in the middle or towards the right with Isaiah Jones. And there was a big gap where the centre backs were, and they didn't know whether to stick together or create a big stick together or like separate a man mark. And there was this big space where you could see like maybe like an Azaz or Hayden Hackney just to run through really and try and play through the back. You had Dan Barlaser there who can play the ball in behind, and we weren't making those right runs. We did try it once or twice and it just didn't really come off, but you need to keep doing that because the options and the chances were there to be taken. They were trying to play higher initially, but I think that's a dangerous game. I think if you're playing against Boro, to be honest. But for me, if I was to go and say how to be more clinical in front of goal, slowing things down probably is always the one way to go for me. I think if you're running through on goal, I think this is where Latif kind of falters, is that he's too rash when he strikes. When you're in front of goal, you need to try and slow it down a little bit sometimes, I think, or you need to make it more instinctual. Like for me, when Latif has the ball from 3 or 4 touches, it's wasteful. Latif's best way, it's like literally just a given shot. That's all I ever want from him. That was what I said in his lower down video. That's what I'm saying now. Now that I've seen him for 30 plus 40 appearances for Boro, I want to just see that given shot, and that's what will get the best out of him. Tommy Conway did really well yesterday when he scored because he was able to get around the defender. You could see himself slowing himself down, and then just able to get that. Just watch what the keeper was doing, then just take it the other way and get the finish away. And then in terms of like good striker work, I always like someone who gets on the blind side of a defender, and the striker was always on the back post. I quite like that aspect of being a striker. Someone who's just the ability to try and lose themselves on a play. Their goal yesterday, if you watch it back, their midfielder comes from deep and he runs and runs and runs. Hackney doesn't even Hackney watches him and he just keeps running and keeps running and keeps running. That ball comes over and he just runs on it and slots it in. So if he was and that's what I mean by getting on the blind side, he had no idea where he was, and then they went on and scored. But on the flip side of things, centre backs, Edmundson made his debut yesterday, aka the Fridge. Matt, how did the Fridge do? Did he keep the food cold, or was he just a waste of space?
He was very reliable. He was a very reliable Fridge. I would say top job. But I thought he was fantastic yesterday. I thought he was solid. He didn't do anything noteworthy, which I think is good for a centre back. But in possession, I thought he was good. I think maybe both him and Clark were guilty at times of keeping the ball a bit too long, and maybe they were just hoping and waiting for some movement in front, someone to make a run, or maybe Preston to start pressing and open up some space. But I think maybe they could have maybe played the ball around a bit quicker at times. But in terms of their defensive job, the job they're there to do, I thought Edmundson was absolutely brilliant yesterday. He won a lot of his physical duels. He was really good in a tackle. Positional was really good. I just thought all in all, it was a very solid debut from him. And, coming into a team straight away, starting in that back line, can't ask for anything more. And it's good to see him come in and know that he's a solid pair of hands that we can rely on if needed, because I do believe once Rav's fit, he will come straight back in. But to have Edmundson there as a potential option, really, really good. So I thought as debuts go, it was as solid as it gets from him yesterday.
Yeah, and I could not believe how big our centre backs were yesterday. I said it to you, didn't I, Matt? Like, honestly, when I was looking at Matt Clark and Edmundson, I was like, God, I mean, if a ball comes in the box, they're going to struggle, aren't they? And obviously, hilariously, they scored for cross. But I thought, that's what you kind of want from defenders, really. Those big defenders making themselves a nuisance, kick the strike a couple of times, and if you can kick a ball, even better in this day and age, to be honest. But another deadline day signing, Tom, someone who I was really excited to see yesterday, to be honest. I think it was, in terms of like excitement for going to the game, the chips and curry was the one excitement. 2, obviously, seeing Matt, of course, and you can all sit next to each other. And then 3 was probably Ben Doak coming on, because there was a lot mentioned about him when he first came in. Carrick said he was an exciting player. He even said in his press conference that he had a good couple of weeks. And even doing this lowdown video, I thought, there's definitely a player there. He can be a bit raw, but he looks like a good find. So do you think it was a promising start from Doak? What do you think he can offer moving forward for us?
I thought it was a really promising start from him. I think he did what a lot of people in the Riverside wish that Jones would do. And he was kind of attacking his man straight away, trying to beat him, trying to get around him and get a ball into the box. Obviously, I don't know why Jones has kind of stopped doing that as much, or kind of picking his moments with that, but it just seemed like there was a kind of fearlessness to Doak. He's quick, quite agile, low centre of balance. And I think it was telling that he got on with probably about 20 minutes to play, and got on before Hamilton and Bergzorg did. So I think he's got the potential to be a fairly big player for us this season. Just hope we can see more of him fairly quickly.
Yeah, I hope so too. I think that Isaiah Jones' position, if it hasn't been under threat, it definitely is now. And, I think Jones has been quite poor probably the start of the season, to be honest. I think, and I just don't see the consistency enough in terms of being quality, because he does have a lot of good attributes at times, but I haven't seen much of it this year. And what a player now to come in and really give him competition, like really go competition. If that's not a rocket to take, and I tell you what, like, you must be thinking of somewhere else, because I think he's a good talent. I'm excited to see what he does, but also I'm excited to see what we do with Marcus Forss now. A couple of weeks away, and we've been saying that for weeks, but apparently he is a couple of weeks away now. And will he play central? Going back on clinical strikers, he's a very clinical striker in the box. So could we do with him going up front for like a laugh maybe the next couple of weeks? So it'll be interesting to see what we do with him in terms of dynamics. But for Ben Doak to come in, the competition he's going to have for Isaiah Jones, and also if you want to put Micah Hamilton there as well, you've got options, Dom. You've got options. Speaking of options, Dom, and also the Knee Slide Club, he is just, while we're going to take a little bit of a breather and move into the present place, he is just a little bit of a nudge to our merch.
I know, you probably hate ads, but don't skip this one, because we've got some very exciting stuff to talk about. Do you want to be a part of Knee Slide Club? Well, you can be, but why not get your own Knee Slide Club t-shirt as well? Fancy a slightly less creased version of the Shithouse Island tee? Or perhaps you want a Boro Breakdown embroidered hat to keep your head warm during those cold Riverside nights. We've teamed up with Teesside to create our own Boro Breakdown merch range. If you want to support us on the podcast and support a local business, then the link to our merch items are always in the description. Happy shopping and up the Boro Breakdown.
Yes, podcast questions. Every week you get the chance to ask us a question via Twitter at Boro_breakdown, email borobreakdown@hotmail.com, or by joining the Telegram chat of all 400 Boro fans chatting anything but Boro. And the first question from Nick is, if you could make one change to our current tactics, what would it be? What are we doing at the moment? It isn't quite working, so it needs a little change. Although I do think the next few games against better teams in the league will suit us, as they will play quicker. Guys, one tactical change that you'd maybe make. Anyone want to take this one? Anyone? Who wants it? Tom, do you want it? Oh, Matt. Oh, Matt. Oh, I'll go Matt. Who wants it? Oh, God, I don't know who wants it.
It's like a game show.
I'll let one of you jump in. I'll sit quiet.
For me, I just want to see us play quicker. I think everything we're doing loads of good things. We don't need to rip up what we're doing tactically, but if there was to be a tweak, I think it's just to play the ball quicker, especially at home. I think away from home, I think Nick alluded to it, and I agree. Some of the away games we've got coming up, we've got Watford, West Brom, Sunderland. I think we'll have huge opportunities in both them games, because I think we're just better suited as an away side, to be honest. With how we play and the pace we have. Tom mentioned the pace. I think that's something we need to utilise a bit more as well. Yesterday there was so many opportunities to get in behind them, and I think we kept coming towards the ball and playing the ball into feet rather than getting in behind. I think if we do that more often, play the ball quicker, yeah, that would be it for me. I think just stop being so ponderous on the ball at times and speed things up a bit.
And then Tom?
Yeah, I'm going to completely agree with Matt there. And as I said earlier, I'd like to see us just utilise our pace a bit more. You look at teams who've gone up in the last few years, Burnley in particular, and they'd come to the Riverside or we go there, and they just looked good on the ball. And they were similar to us and played out from the back. They were just kind of ahead of us in that process. They were a possession team, and they somehow managed to keep the ball, play it well, get it in dangerous areas, and score. We just need to be more effective like that, and it's going to be utilising individual talents. I think individual traits in terms of pace and just getting the ball into those dangerous areas. I think, like Matt said, and Carrick said this after the game. You've said it at the start of the show, Jonny. We're doing a lot of things right. There's no need to kind of rip everything up at the moment. It's just going to be little tweaks. And I think just having a little bit more fearlessness, playing quicker on the ball, playing quicker off the ball and utilising pace, I think we've got the players to be able to do that now.
Yeah, and for me, it's just more of the same. You just need to be more clinical on one end of the box. You know what I mean? You just need to take your chances. That is the one change I'd just like us to see, is just finish the chances because we do enough. The next question is from Callum. He says, why is our set-piece conversion so bad? Do they practice or is it just hit and hope? Embarrassing at times. Well, given we've scored 2 set pieces this season, we were only scoring from set pieces. I don't think it is as bad. Like over 90% of all set pieces don't actually end in a goal. So, that's kind of an interesting one, isn't it? Because I actually think we've got better at him. But when Dan Barlaser takes a corner, Matt, what happens when Dan Barlaser takes a corner? It's just the
Catching practice.
Catching practice. There you go. So I mean, don't hit it too close to the goalkeeper, I guess, is probably the one to improve on. And then 2, you've got to try and beat your first man unless it's hard and low. But other than that, there's nothing much you can do unless you want to go real Barclaysman and get a Rory Delap long throw into the mixer. That's where you can probably add to things. But I think we actually have improved in them, but we just don't score enough from them. And I don't think in football in general, a lot of teams score from set pieces, which is why I feel like we need to probably start doing more of it, because I think there's an opportunity there for us to do it. But don't know, guys, does anyone else anything to add to that? But if not, I will happily move into somewhere where we can praise some players.
I think, like you said, we've already scored a couple of set-piece goals. So I think, for me, it's already a bit of an improvement on last season. I think Carrick said after the Cardiff game, Ledbetter works on these set-pieces quite, routinely with them. So I'm fully expecting a few more set-piece goals before the end of the season.
I hope so, Tom. I really hope so. Anyway, let's go and let's go to church and let's go to the praise and place. Yes, the praise and place, the only place we like to give praise to a player, a coach and staff member, Matt's green jumper, the chips and curry I had yesterday, and Tom just for being back on the podcast, because I have missed him so much, even though we speak every single day. So, praise and place time now. Who would like to go first? Tom, who is in your praise and place this week?
I think after yesterday's performance, people are probably going to be a bit questioning why I only have one. But Tommy Conway, I just think he was everywhere up front yesterday. He took his finish really well. I remember saying to my dad at half time, I was like, on Coburn's form before he left, if he was in that same position, would you expect him to score? I think we both agreed no at that point. Obviously, he's scored at Millwall, so he might be on the up again and might have his confidence back and would have scored that in this situation now. But when Conway got through, I didn't think there was any doubt as to where that ball was going to go. Obviously, it was identified on the lowdown video. He's got a good kind of low shot, and when he got through 1-on-1, I was just kind of like, he's putting this away. But he just looks like he's getting better and better and fitting into the squad more and more. So, I think it was actually brought up in the post-match interview about the players who were still bedding in, and Conway was one of them. And I was like, I feel like he's been here for ages. At this point, he fits like a glove into that system. So, looking forward to seeing more and more goals from Conway this season. Matt, scoring these two.
Sorry, Tom, I cut you off. I thought you finished. But Matt, are you going to go for in your praise and place?
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I think I'll have a nod to George Edmundson just for the reasons I mentioned earlier. Just the first game, I think he did really well, and Tommy Conway was the best player on the pitch by a mile yesterday. Everything he did, I thought, was really positive. Even when he was like laying the ball off to his teammates, he was like trying to be urgent. He was like gesturing for them to like, come on, we need to be quicker. We need to, be better on the ball or whatever. He just felt like everything he was trying to do on and off the ball was really positive, and he looks like not just a good figure to have on the ball, but a good figure to have off the ball as well. And took his goal really well, carried the ball really well. Technically, he looks really good. Not bad for a player that Bristol City fans claimed only scored penalties and wouldn't get in the side. Because like last there, I think he's proven he's maybe he's took that 10 position behind Lath. I'd be very intrigued to see what happens with Azaz and McGree on the left with that, because I think he's played himself arguably into the team already. He was best player on the pitch yesterday.
Yeah, hat-trick for Tommy Conway, and brilliant, absolutely brilliant. I know we alluded to him, we spoke about him already in the pod, but I think he was just brilliant. Connected everything, went through him yesterday. Give a shout out to Ben Doak as well. I thought it was a really promising debut. And then finally for Aidan Morris as well. I know he only played about 15, 20 minutes yesterday, but I think the impact that he had when he came on, those combinations with Hackney, trying to drive the ball forward. I mean, he did get absolutely clattered at one point. It was like watching a foul on clubs when you get a bit frustrated. But for me, he is a very good player, and I think a very, very good signing for us, to be honest. I know there's going to be people who probably say, well, he's not Paul Ince or George Boateng, but he's very, very good, and very good at this level. I'd be intrigued to see how long we can keep hold of him, because there'll be people watching him and there'll be people watching Hackney too. But if you're going to watch Hackney, I think Morris would stand out just as much. He definitely adds to Boro's midfield. Yeah, I think he just deserves to be in the present place so far for this season alone, but also for his small impact yesterday. So let's move on. Let's look ahead to the derby, not a derby against Sunderland. We'll probably do our predictions in just a moment, but it is time for trivia. I love this part of the show because this one is actually personal to me, and two, it's just good to get people's brains thinking. But the question today, because it is a personal one for me, I was a mascot for Boro for Boro against Sunderland in 2003 when the Burnley TV was made at the Stadium of Light, and Boro won 3-1 that day. But who were the scorers for Boro? So when Boro beat Sunderland 3-1 at the Stadium of Light in 2003, who were the scorers that day? And also, I was mascot, and I'm still the same size now, and I'm really, really small. So anyway, let's do it. Your timer starts now. Time is up. Guys, your answers, of course. Who are we going to go for? Tom, you look deep in thought as soon as I said this question, so I feel like you might know the answer. Who are
I
Boro's
feel like I
scorers
remember
today?
the game. Was it the white dialophone kit we were wearing?
It was a white dial,
Right.
all white.
I do remember watching this game. Not the game. I was watching Sky Sports Goal Centre or whatever it was called at the time. I was around my grandma's. I was watching this, and I feel like I remember Chris Riggett, Malcolm Christie, and I put Zillard Nemeth, but I feel like it could have been Michael Ricketts as well. I feel like it wasn't too far after we signed Riggett and Christie.
Okay, interesting. And then Matt, who are you going to go for?
I'm probably going to make you both feel old, but I don't remember this game. It was probably just before my earliest memories of being a Boro fan, so I have guessed completely. I've just gone with 3 players who I think might have been in the team. We've mentioned one already in the pod, so I've stuck him in. One's Boateng. The other is Jeremy, just because he was on that Boro half-time quiz thing they do yesterday, so he sprung to mind, and Nemeth. I honestly don't have a clue.
Matt,
Before
you
my
are
time,
way off.
boys.
You are way off. Way off.
Ah.
But you tried, and that's what's important. So the goals that day, Kevin Phillips scored for Sunderland, about 40 yards out. But for the goals for Boro, Tom, you were correct with Malcolm Christie, and you were correct with Chris Riggett. And there was no other scorer that day because Chris Riggett got 2 and Malcolm Christie got the 3rd. So that was the win that day. Chris Riggett scoring 2 there, Malcolm Christie, yeah. God, those were the glory days. They were true Barclaysmen. Great trend this week. You know, had a lot of nostalgia to it. Joseph Job as well. Absolutely probably useless for the most part, but he scored 2 iconic goals, which makes him a Barclaysman. But we'll look ahead to Sunderland now, guys, because Sunderland are top of the league with 12 points. It did get beat yesterday to Plymouth, 3-2. In terms of predictions, guys, how are we feeling about the game? Of course, there's always a bit of bite to it. There's a couple of challenges going in, and for all of this isn't a derby. It kind of feels a little bit like a derby at times, or a rivalry, a strong rivalry, but not a derby. So prediction time. Tom, what are you going to go for against Sunderland?
Well, I feel like it is a derby. I mean, I sit across from a Sunderland fan at work, and he will be unbearable if they win. And I feel like that's other than the local definition, I feel like that is a kind of definition of a derby where you're in the vicinity of supporters of the other team on a daily basis. And being from Billingham, we are. There's a lot of Sunderland fans here, so I hate playing them for that very reason, and especially when they've had such a good start. I would take a 1-1 draw away and be quite happy with that if we got it. So that's going to be my prediction.
Okay, and then Matt, what are you going to predict for this one?
I'm in agreement with Tom. Listen, if Norwich and Ipswich are a derby and they're flipping miles apart, and Cardiff and Bristol City are a derby and they're not even in the same country, this is a derby. This is a derby. And if they win, it's a derby. I had to get that out. I think it'll be a draw. I'm going to go draw. I think even though they lost yesterday, they'll be right up for it. And yeah, it could be one of the more exciting, high-quality Teesweir derbies we've had in quite a long time. So I'm not quite confident enough we'll win. I think they'll definitely score. So I'm going to go with the score draw, 2-2. Why not?
Okay, then. What will I go with? I think this is an interesting one, a really interesting game because it's the first game Sunderland have had without Jack Clark. And he was a big outlet for them in those first early games. The wing play was really important to them. And to lose Jack Clark, who was probably their best player, is a really interesting, position to be in because they're still working out. When I've watched very brief moments of Sunderland's this season, yes, they're in that 4-2-3-1, and yes, they can be quite expansive, but they are very prone to that transition. And I think if Boro are able to be on the money, it could be anything. But if they're not, it could go the other way. Sunderland are a young team, and I'm always intrigued by Sunderland because the average age is 22-year-old, very young squad. They need probably some more leadership in there because when things go well, it can go really well, but when things go bad, they can go really bad. And I think they just need to strike that balance, and I think that's where experience can help balance the ship at times. So I'm intrigued to see what type of Sunderland we get. We get next weekend, but I think we'll win. I think we'll edge it. I think we'll edge it 2-1. We'll definitely make a mistake, but I think that may just be too late in the day, make it a nervy end to the game, because I think we'll be 2-0 up before that happens. But guys, thank you so much for joining me. As always, it's not the last you'll see, especially of me and Tom this week, because we have a guest episode coming out midweek this week, and well, we are recording it tomorrow, so hopefully, fingers crossed, it actually happens. Because if it does happen, then it will be on midweek, and if it's not, then we'll reschedule it. But for right now, don't forget to like this video. Don't forget to subscribe to the Boro Breakdown podcast, and don't forget to rate us 5-star on your podcast provider. That helps us get found, charted, and all that kind of fun stuff, and help a local Boro podcast out. But for right now, this has been the Boro Breakdown podcast, and that was our Boro Matchday chatter in a pod. Up the Boro Breakdown.